Is this thing on? I guess it is because I can see your comments. Hi. Let's just wait some more minutes. Everyone to join. Hi. Yeah. Hey there, Igor. Okay, guys, I guess we can start. So, hello again. Welcome to this AWS workshop organized by RS School, AWS itself, and many user groups in the region. I'm Christine. I'm the user group leader of AWS user group of my beautiful country, Armenia, that is going extremely hard times today together with Artach, and hoping for the best and working for the best. Let's move on to our workshop. Okay, let me share this with you. Okay, how we will go. I need you to be extremely interactive with us. We have the YouTube chat here, so drop any kind of messages, any kind of inquiries, issues, requests you have. We have together with us Igor and other guys from AWS that is supporting us. So feel free to drop your messages there. We will go through the presentation. I will walk you through some theoretical part, and then we will see how we should start our hands-on lab. Make sure that you received your registration email, and I will come to that further. So as you can see, today's topic is data protection in event-driven architectures, obviously on AWS. So let's dive deep right now. Okay, I want to remind you that this workshop is part of the series of workshops organized by AWS and RS School itself, and as I mentioned, many user groups in the region. So currently we are at the third one, and you have one small chance to be also participant of Code Whisperer workshop on the September 30. So but no worries, if you like the previous topics and want to attend, you can go to the YouTube channel, this exact one or the Russian speaking one, and watch the recordings. Okay, so make sure if you like to attend the Code Whisperer to be registered for that. Today's agenda, as I already mentioned, I will walk you through the theoretical part, and then we will go right to the practice and overview the environment that was provisioned by AWS for us. We will go and protect our data at rest, in transit as well, and we will go a little bit further and protect the network paths as well. So, what is the event-driven architecture? In event-driven architecture is residing on the concepts of production, detection, and consumption of events. And those events can be viewed as the triggers that result a cascade of actions in a loosely coupled architecture, distributed system, microservices, so on. In our case, we have this environment already provisioned for us in AWS. We have the entry point of our architecture is the SNS. service. SNS is going to publish a message, and the SQS is the subscriber of that topic. And in our case, SQS is also the event source for our Lambda function. It means that any changes in SQS should be viewed as the triggers, as I mentioned, to cascade any kind of action from Lambda function. In this case, the Lambda function execution itself. And then our Lambda function is going to process this information, this message, and then upload the receipt or file to the S3 bucket. Let's go very quickly over the services that I mentioned and start already the hands-on. As I mentioned, we have the SNS as an entry point. So SNS is a messaging service provided by AWS. It relies on publish-subscribe pattern. As I mentioned, in our case, SNS is going to publish a message at the first place as the entry point. And the SQS is the simple queue service provided by AWS, as name itself mentions, is a queue, simply a queue of messages. And our SQS queue is subscribed to the SNS topic. Lambda function is our lovely serverless compute service provided by AWS. In our case, the Lambda function will be triggered by the SQS queue whenever there is any kind of update. And as mentioned before, it will process the data received from SQS and upload some file to the S3 bucket. S3 is a storage service offered by AWS. And of course, in our scenario, we are going to heavily use KMS, which is Key Management Service. It is fully managed by AWS. So you are going to create and store there your keys, and the keys are going to be managed fully by AWS. We're going to talk a little more about KMS on the go, so let's not just stuck here. VPN Endpoints. If you remember, we will finally go and secure our network paths. So we will use for that the VPN Endpoints, private ones, of course. And as the front door for every services, we will have IAM in place. Is the Identity and Access Management Service provided by AWS. And finally, with this all in place, our target environment will look like this. So we will have data protection in rest, in transit as well, and the network path protection as I mentioned. Okay, let's go to the practice. So I want you to be interactive with us at this point in the YouTube chat. Okay, so if you registered for this workshop, you already received an email with the registration link, which if you click that link, it will lead you to this exact page, where you should choose the OTP version, email one-time password. Let us know if you can find that link in the chat. If you don't have any issues with finding the link, okay. So I can see the link is right here. So even better, just use that link. Choose the one-time password option. Write your email, exactly the same one that you used for the registration. And hit the send passcode button. just use the link from the video description in the YouTube. After receiving the one-time code, passcode, you should come back, insert that one-time passcode, and sign in. Okay, so I can see one person in. I have to see many. If you did everything right, you will come to this page. This is actually what we are going to use. Guys, if you are already in, let us know in the chat. Cool. I can see more people coming with us. Let's just wait some more minutes and start, okay? Cool. Yeah, please set minus in the chat if you can join so we can figure out how many people need help. Okay. Cool. Guys, just to facilitate this process, let us know in the chat if you face any difficulties joining. Let us know your email at the first place. The one that you registered for the event for. Cool. So we have only 2 people left with some errors. The issue got resolved. also while we are waiting. So there are options of passing this workshop for you. Like the first one is obviously with me, but if you would like to attend the Russian version, don't forget that there is another stream for that. If you'd like to pass the workshop at your own pace, like, I don't know, you want to do it alone, like without us. So you have the access for that and all the materials to do that. So choices by you. Guys, don't forget to let us know that your issues are resolved so we can count everyone in. Okay, cool. We can count everyone in and then start. All set? That's great. So let's move further. If you did everything right, as I said, you are on this page, review and join. Okay, so just scroll all the way down to the page and click this button that you agree with the terms and conditions of this workshop and hit the join event button. I'll do in both tabs, so I can have the documentation of the workshop in the other side and the workshop itself, like the console thing on the right hand. All right, so this shouldn't be confusing, okay, for you. And from this point on, I would suggest you to keep the same way as I did, the documentation from the one side and the console from the other side. Just hit this Open AWS Console button. This is the place where we are going to work hands-on. All right. Cool, we are in, you can see. And now let's go. If you remember the overview we did, we are going to test that overview, the environment that we talk about. So, as I mentioned, the environment itself is already provisioned by AWS. It's in Cloud Permission template. We will come to that a little bit later. So now let's go through all the steps of the module 1. I want you to come with me and test the working flow. For that, let's just hit to the Simple Notification Service SNS console. Go to the topics bar section and just hit the Publish Message button, okay? We're going to test if whatever we talk about is working as expected. We have these fields in our message: name, Apple, quantity 3, and the price 2. You don't need to remember this. Okay, publish. So we expect our SNS to publish this message, and we expect our SQS to that is subscribed to the topic to receive this message and trigger the Lambda execution. Okay, so in our Lambda function at least should upload some file to the S3 bucket. So let's go and check if there is any kind of file in our S3 bucket, and there is. Alright, hit that text file and hit the open button. I hope you can see, that's why I'm just zooming it. In any case, hit the open button and it will open a new message. And if you remember, as I said, you don't need to, we just have added one field here, total cost at 6. It was like processed by the Lambda function and added here, and then receipt was uploaded to the S3 bucket. Cool, so we have everything in place working. Alright, these steps were also described in the documentation of workshop. I just went with you through the testing thing very quickly because we can. And now I want you to open the CloudFormation console. As I mentioned, everything is provisioned with the CloudFormation template, and just open this template that has in its name CNF template DAP installer. And here you can open the Outputs tab and just keep this tab. I will keep it open because we will need these IDs and ARNs very frequently, sorry. So just open another console here, and let's make sure that we passed all the steps of the module 1. Yes, we tested it. Yes, we reviewed the CloudFormation outputs. Cool, sweet. Move on, hit the next button. Okay, so let's start protecting the data that we are working with. As mentioned in the step 1, we need to go to the KMS and create keys itself. Okay, hit the Key Management Service console. In the KMS, in AWS, KMS is using the envelope encryption. So you are creating the master key, or also named the envelope key. And this envelope key is used to create the data keys, data encryption keys, DEKs. These data encryption keys are used to encrypt and decrypt your data. So, and these data encryption keys are encrypted themselves as well by the KMS. For that, KMS uses the key hierarchy and also the hardware security modules, HSMs. Hardware security module, yes, HSMs. Okay, they are. The cool thing is that there are no human interaction possible with these HSMs, and they are also compliant with many standards like federal ones. So it provides high security in AWS. For this workshop, we want to use customer managed keys. As you can see, we have also AWS managed keys in the side panel. So those keys are fully owned, managed, created, updated by AWS. Those are keys for many services. You can, if you are interested, you just can go and check them by yourself. I recommend that. But now we should go to the customer managed keys tab. As you can see, we have no keys created, so just hit the create key button. Okay, we have options. We will go with the symmetric key, and we will use the key to encrypt and decrypt our data. Okay. Let whatever is chosen, as I said, symmetric and encrypt decrypt option, and hit the next button. Here we should apply some alias to our key. Let's just go to the documentation and copy that alias. Here you can see we have the alias with events in the name. Just put it in here and hit the next button. You can also describe the key, add text, but it's not a part of today's workshop, so hit the next button. Key administrators. Here are two permissions to be given to this key. First one is administrator permission, and the second one is the key usage permission. Okay, so we have two roles created for us for this workshop by AWS. First one is workshop participant role, and the second one is the finance role. We will see the difference later on, but for this first key creation, let's just choose the workshop participant role as the administrative, for the administrative permissions, okay? And hit the next button. Here comes the usage permission, as I mentioned. For the first key that we are creating, as you remember, the one with the events in the name, as the documentation itself suggests, we should use the participant's role for the usage permissions as well. So, okay, same one. Hit the next button. And here you can see that we have key policy, the main part of this thing. Here we have statements. The first one is about a root user, that every action is allowed on the KMS, any kind of resources, but I suggest to remove this, and you can see that it is also suggested by the documentation of workshop itself. So as mentioned, we should remove this part from our key policy. Okay, so go ahead and remove this part from the statement. Currently we have 3 statements left: allowing administrator access, allowing usage to the role that we chose, and allowing attachment of persistent resources, again to the role that we chose. It's about grants, linking, listing, creating, and revoking them. So if you did everything as described in the documentation or followed me, just hit the finish button. Okay, now you can see we have the events named key created. So let's move to the documentation, and you can see that we need to create another key for the S3. Okay, go ahead, hit the create key button, left everything as it was. For the alias, copy and paste this name. And for the roles, you can see that our workshop says for the administrative role, we use the VS participant role, but for the key usage, use finance role. Okay, let's go and do the exact same thing as workshop says. And for the usage, finance role. Okay, next. And we just need to repeat the steps. So we are going to remove this part, allowing the root user to do everything. Okay, finish. Now we have both keys created. So we can come to our second step, and it is about applying encryption to SNS and SQS. So we should put these keys into an action. Okay, for that, obviously hit to the SNS console, hit the topics, and in the encryption tab here, you can see that encryption is disabled, like by default. Okay, there is no encryption in place. So we are going to edit this thing. Hit the edit button, scroll to the encryption, and enable it. As mentioned in the documentation of workshop. Okay, so let's choose the KMS key. Just remove this default one and choose the one that we created with the events in the name. Okay, I hope you can see it. Let me zoom it for you. This one, events. Okay, choose that one. Cool, we have it in place. And save changes. And currently we have encryption configured for our SNS. Okay, let's go and place SQS encryption. So, as suggested from our documentation, we should go to the encryption part. We don't have any kind of server-side encryption in place, so just edit this thing. Okay, here you can see server-side encryption is enabled, but it is using the default SQS key. So let's just go ahead and hit this AWS Key Management Service key, the one KMS keys that we used, okay, that we created, sorry. And as you can see, we should choose again the key named events for this SQS encryption. Cool. Just save it and we are good to go. We are. Let's check from the documentation. Yes, we are. So we can now try to test an event, but before that, let's just configure the delivery status for our SNS. Okay. Okay, delivery status logging. The SQS queue we have hit to the SNS service topics, topic itself, and delivery status. You can see that we have no delivery status logging configured. So we are gonna change this one, and for that we are going to use the SQS and just hit the create new service row as mentioned in our documentation. And you can see here appears some button, create new rows. We are creating these rows for the we are creating these IAM rows for being able to log deliveries, both successful and failed ones in the logs. So hit this button. Just leave whatever it is saying, the default ones, and here you can see at the button the allow, so choose that. Cool. And you can see that we have both rows for our SNS created. Okay, just save changes Okay, so guys, as you can see, we have a warning here. If you get an error about the role, wait a few seconds and hit save again. Hope you don't have any error. Let's just go ahead and test everything we just updated, making sure that things didn't broke. Go to the SNS topic again and publish message. Okay, copy this message payload and paste it here. We have orange now. Publish message. And so if you remember, we should go to the S3 and see if the file is successfully uploaded as a result. Go to the bucket, and we don't have any files updated here. Strange, but as we configured the delivery status logging, let's just go to CloudWatch and see what happened to our message. Okay, hit the log groups field here. And we configured the log groups for the SNS. So hit the one with the SNS in the name, okay? And choose the search log group right up here. Okay, we have a log, and as you can see, we have an error there, which is saying access denied. So it is saying that our SNS isn't authorized to perform some kind of actions on the resources. So it means that our SNS isn't authorized to push the notifications, messages to the SQS queue, which is encrypted. So we should add to this exact action, which is KMS generate data key, to our key policy. Okay, and just go to the step 4 and modify the KMS policy. Okay, hit the customer managed key. The key that we used for the SQS and SNS is the one with the events in the name. Okay, hit that one. And as you remember, we have only 3 statements in the policy. So edit it. And as you can see from the workshop documentation itself, it is suggesting to add the new statement to allow our SNS to send to the encrypted SQS queue. Okay, so it is allowing actions of generating data key and decrypting it. Let's just copy it, go ahead to our key policy and edit in the line right here, 61, just add the comma here, enter and paste. Okay, as you can see, we should also enter the account number here, which is right in the CloudFormation outputs that I asked you to keep open because we will come to it very often. So copy this account ID and add it right here. Cool. So we added another, I don't want to leave this blank. Okay. So we added another statement to our key policy. Let's save these changes, check whatever documentation is saying to us. Okay, so we will go and do additional troubleshooting. Hoping that everything now will work. Okay, for that, you remember already, we are going to publish a test message to the SNS. the publish message button, copy paste the message. Now we have banana one. Okay, publish message. All right, let's go to the S3 and check. If we had another file added here as a result, and we don't, so what's the matter? Okay, in this case, in this point, I should also tell you that KMS is by default integrated with CloudTrail. So it is done for the auditing of the KMS key usage and further on. So let's go to CloudTrail and check if everything is okay with our keys. Okay. I forgot to talk to you and go to the SQS at first. Let's see. Okay, you can see we have message in flight. Okay, so this means that the message we sent is stuck somewhere. Okay, now go to the CloudTrail to check where it is stuck. Here you should go to the event history from the sidebar here and search by the event name. It is written right here. Okay, you just should look up for the events by event name, and for the event name we should use decrypt. It may take some time, so you just need to go and update it if you don't see any logs, but we can see the latest one, and as you can see it is related to the AWS Lambda function and our keys. So access denied error code. Okay, this one. So this means our Lambda function doesn't have any rights to receive encrypted messages from the SQS queue. So we need to make another update to our KMS key policy to allow our consumers of the encrypted data, for example Lambda function, to consume the messages from the queue, from the encrypted queue. Okay, so for that we just go to the KMS again, the key policy, and we are going to edit it. We have the statement here prepared for us, just copy that. We are going to allow consumers to receive from the queue. Okay, in our case the consumer is the Lambda function itself. So just go ahead, add the comma here and pass the new statement. Okay, and for the Lambda role we again need to go to CloudFormation outputs and just copy this ARN of our Lambda function. I mean the role of our Lambda function. Get rid of this and add the ARN here. Okay, so currently we are adding the statement to let our Lambda function be able to decrypt messages received from the encrypted SQS queue. Just save changes here and go to the documentation, which is suggesting us next step to validate everything. We just update it. Just go to the SNS topic as we are used to. Topics, topic, publish message. Okay, and enter the message. Grape. Okay, grape it is. Publish message, and fingers crossed we will see some updates in our S3 now. Cool. Now we can see we have 2 more items added to our S3, sorry. So go ahead and check those items. Hit the open button. This one is the last one with grape. Cool. And let's see what is the other one. Banana, the one that was stuck. Remember? So cool. It reached the destination. Okay, we have come to the step 7. Now that we have created the encryption keys, we need to update our S3 bucket to use them for encryption at rest. Okay, so currently we are in the S3. Okay, if you go to the permissions tab, you can see that we have bucket policy for the Lambda. Okay, and if you go to the properties, you can see that we have default encryption that is using the Amazon managed S3 key for the encryption, but we want to use the KMS that we created, okay, the customer managed one. So just go and hit the edit button. For this case, let me just zoom in. We are going to choose the second option as mentioned in the documentation. Okay, we're going to choose the KMS, and we are going to choose the key from the ones that we created. So hit the first option and choose the key we created for the S3, like the S3 in the name. Okay, this one. Choose it and leave the bucket key enabled, so it will save you some money. Save changes. Also, one thing to add, like not mentioned in this workshop, but Amazon KMS is a paid service, so you are paying $1 per key per month, and you have more than, in a free tier, you have more than 20,000 requests. So if you are a small project, small company, those 2,000 requests of key usage should be enough to go with. So we added the encryption to our S3 bucket. Now, what is suggested to us? As you remember, we edited the key policy to allow the Lambda function to consume the messages from the encrypted SQS. Currently, we need to edit the key policy for the key we created for S3. Okay, so we should go to the KMS, do the same thing, like the logically same. Okay, choose the key with the S3 in the name. And here in the key policy, we can see that we have exactly the same 3 default options. Hit the edit button and copy this thing, the statement that should be added in order to let our Lambda function to upload files to the encrypted S3. So we should add a comma here and the statement itself. Also, we need the Lambda role ARN. So go to the cloud formation, copy it, and paste here. By this, we again are allowing our Lambda function to upload to S3 that is encrypted with KMS. So actions are generate data key and decrypted. Okay, hit the save button. And as suggested at the step 8, let's go and validate the whole flow. Okay, we need to go to SNS, and I need to drink some water. Stay hydrated. Topics, and publish to this topic to test the flow. Plum. Okay. Publish. And for making sure, go ahead to the S3 and check if we have fourth item added. Yeah, fourth one. We had this one, the latest one. Okay, let's go ahead and try to open it. Oh my god, we have error. Access denied. What it is saying? It is saying that this role, which is workshop participant role, isn't authorized to open this file because if you remember, we added the key usage permission for the S3 as the finance role. So this is the place we will see why we have those two roles. Okay, so let's just go ahead and switch roles and see if we are able to watch the file. Hit this switch role button here. Okay, for the account ID, copy this from the CloudFormation. For the role, just hit the finance role if you don't have it, like I did it, so I have it cached. Add it here and just switch roles. Okay, to make sure that we did everything right, you can see that here we have at the right panel, at the right side, on the right side we have finance row currently. So just open this file, try to open this file with the finance row, and as you can see, it works. So we have Plum, the latest one, that was already encrypted by S3, data encryption at rest. And we opened it with the finance row because we have the KMS policy of usage, allowing only finance row to use the key, decrypting, like the encrypted data. So just go ahead and switch back to our regular role. Okay, so let's see what we need to do further. Ladies and gentlemen, we finished the module 2. So we applied data protection at rest. Saying at rest, we mean like when data isn't moving anywhere, isn't transmitted, so it is in persistent form. Okay, just go ahead and hit the next button and we come to the data protection in rest. Okay, let's go through the documentation. Module 3, step 1. So we should, we should force the SQS encryption. Okay, got it. For that, obviously, we should go to the SQS because our data is in transit from the SQS to the Lambda function. And from the SNS topic to the Lambda function as well. So we came to the SQS, open the queue, and as you can see, we have the access policy here. It is allowing our SNS to send messages to us. Now, in this section, we want to add some more statements, okay? So we would like to deny unsecured transport from any kind of resources. So we're gonna hit the edit button of this access policy. On the line 16, just add the comma, the new statement. As you can see, we need to add the SQS ARN, which we will take. Obviously, just hit the reload button. We just switch roles, that's why it is warning us. We need to take the SQS ARN from here, okay? Copy that and paste it here. And by this, we are denying any kind of unsecured transport, receiving or sending messages to and from our SQS queue. Okay, so the documentation is saying that now our access policy should be like this, and indeed it is. Okay, just go ahead and hit the save button. And let's do the same logical encryption with our SNS. Hit to the SNS console, topics, and open the topic itself. In the access policy here, you can also see the default statements that we have, but we want to add more security, so we are going to edit this policy. What is documentation suggesting us? So we allow publish through SSL only, which is the secure protocol. Just copy this, go ahead to the access policy and edit. And as you can see, we need the SNS ARN, which again we should take from the SNS ARN should be taken from the CloudFormation outputs. Here we go. Okay. So we are saying that in our SNS we are allowing only publishing through SSL. Save these changes. And also we want to add some encryption to our S3 for the data in transit, because our Lambda function is sending to our SNS, uploading to our S3 bucket a file, which being said, data is in transit. Okay, so go to the S3 bucket. In the permissions tab, you can see the bucket policy allowing Lambda function to upload some objects, put objects here. And we want to add more security. So we are going to deny any incorrect encryption in header and for the key as well. So just go and edit this policy. Here we should add comma, copy paste the statements, and as you can see we need the S3 bucket ARN that we should take from the CloudFormation, just right here. Cool. Change it in the second place as well. And as we are denying incorrect encryption of header for the key, we also need to specify the KMS key. The KMS key is going to be right here. Just open it. We should take it from the KMS itself. We don't have it in CloudFormation, so just go to the KMS, customer managed key, and the one that we created for the S3. copy this ARN right here. Okay, just don't mix the keys, so go right to the S3 key. Okay, so we copied the ARN and we go to the policy to put it right here. Okay, we're good to go. Save changes. Okay, now as you can imagine, our S3 bucket is anticipating a header and a key in the messages that it receives in the files. So it obviously leads to some changes in our Lambda function. Just go ahead to our lovely Lambda function. Go to the function itself. We are going to make some changes in the code. So, as you can see, the documentation is suggesting us to add some more arguments in the code. It is in Python, as you can see, and oh my god, where I can zoom in. Oh, sorry, I can zoom in this code editing part, but I hope you can see, so you can also read from the documentation. So we are adding these statements that our S3 is waiting from the Lambda function. In order to save these changes, we should deploy our function code. So it is successfully updated. Okay, so we think we have everything in place, so it's time to test again. Go to SNS, topics. Inside our topic, we will publish some message. Pineapple this time. Cool, love them. Publish message. Message is successfully published. Just go to the S3 to validate the flow. Let's see what we have. Again, we have another file edit. So, but now you remember we should use the finance role to review it, because we have encryption in place for our S3 bucket. Just change the role, switch the role to the finance one, and go ahead to review the latest file. This one, in my case. Open it, and voila, we have the pineapple here. Cool, cool, cool. So guys, let's just switch back and make sure that we didn't miss anything from the documentation. So congratulations, we did the module 3 and we are proceeding to the module 4, where we should try to secure our network paths. So before this, everything was going through the internet, but we want to add another layer of data security protection. So we are going to bypass the public internet with use of VPC. Okay, so we want our Lambda function, first of all, to be in the VPC, as it can reside there. Go to the Lambda function. Okay, as you are here, you should hit the configuration tab, and from the sidebar, you can see here we have the VPC. That is not configured. Let's go ahead and configure it. Okay, just hit the edit button. For this, we are going to choose the VPC already created by the CloudFormation template, with the CloudFormation template by AWS, especially for this workshop, okay? So remember the name. And for the subnets, we are going to choose these two, as you can see, private subnets. So we want to bypass the internet. Cool. And for the security group, we have the one created for our Lambda function. This one, you can see, right? The other one is default VPC security group. This one, especially for our Lambda function. We did that, so we're going to hit the save button. Okay, as you remember, what services we have? SNS, SQS, S3, and Lambda function that are in action in this flow. So we did the VPC, like the network path encryption for the Lambda function. So just go ahead and make sure that we made network path protection for other services as well. For that, we need to go to the VPC itself. And as you can see, we have VPC endpoints. Now you can see, okay. We have endpoints here. In the part of virtual private cloud, we have endpoints. Hit that button. We have nothing created. So in AWS, guys, you are provided with two options of VPC endpoints. First ones are interface endpoints and the gateway endpoints. Gateway endpoints are for two services, S3 bucket and DynamoDB. And the other ones are for the rest of the services that could use the VPC endpoints. In our case, SNS and SQS. So let's just go ahead and create some interface VPC endpoint for our SQS. Okay, just go to this search tab and type SQS. Okay, we should choose the service, and for the VPC, as you can see, we are choosing the one that we chose for the Lambda function. Obviously, we are putting all our services in one VPC, which is, just imagine another small layer of network, especially for you. We will choose subnets, and in the subnet ID, we will choose those two private subnets. Subnet is a small portion of that VPC that was created for you. Okay, and we will leave the IPv address type IPv4, and for the security group, we are going to go ahead and choose this one that we did for the Lambda function. No tags, no policy to add, just full access. So we have everything private and in place, so we are going to create this endpoint, which is again VPC interface endpoint for the SQS. As I already told you, we need to create another endpoint, again, interface endpoint for the SNS. Do exact same things. Lambda VPC, private subnets, leaving IPv4 as it is, choosing security group, and leaving full access policy. Great. Sweet. Create endpoint. Okay, so we have two endpoints, interface endpoints created, one for our SNS and one for our SQS. So the one service left is the S3. just go ahead and hit the create endpoint button. As already told you, we have only two services, S3 and DynamoDB, that should be used with the gateway type. You see? Okay, so you choose this one, gateway. Okay, VPC endpoint, gateway endpoint, Lambda VPC. For the route table, choose this private one and leave the full access. Create this gateway endpoint as well. It may take some time. As you can see, the other one is pending, so just wait for that. Okay, it's available now. The last step we should do is to update the security group of our Lambda function. Okay, so in the VPC, we have the security tab here, you can see. Just go ahead and hit the security groups. In the security group, you can see we have this one that is not default. It is created by our CloudFormation template. Okay, in the inbound rules, we have HTTPS, and for the outbound rules, we have HTTPS as well. So I want you to go to the route tables. Where are those? Here. In the virtual private cloud, the third one, route tables. And we have this one that we assigned to our S3. Go to the routes, and you can see the destination. Just make sure you copy this one, or just take a note about it, because we are going to add it to outbound rules of our security group to let the Lambda function outbound rules. Okay, edit it and add another rule. Again, HTTPS, and for that add the destination we choose. So we are saying our Lambda function that it is allowed to make secure connection to these endpoints. So save the rule, and let's go ahead and one last time validate our endpoint, our flow, sorry, SNS. Go to the topic and publish this message. Mango this time. Okay, cool. One last time to the S3 bucket itself. Just validate that we have another file edit. You remember that we need to switch the role in order to view this file, because we don't have permissions to view the encrypted file with the VC participant role. So go for finance role, review this latest file, open it, hoping it is Mango there, and yes, there is. So guys, we have this done as well, and we finished the data protection workshop together with you, and I hope you did enjoyed it. You did learn some things. So what we did, let's just recap. we did the data encryption at rest. No, first we created the KMS keys that are going to be used to create data encryption keys that are going to be used to encrypt and decrypt the data that you are keeping or transmitted. So we did the data encryption at rest, in transit, and also we did we added another layer of encryption protection by protecting our network paths. So we did combine in one VPC all our services, and we did create the VPN endpoints in order to bypass the public internet. So I hope you enjoyed it. Also, I have a small request. So I really would love to hear your feedback, because this is my first workshop, especially the online one, and I would be much more happy to be connected with all of you in the social platforms. So feel free to connect with me and give me your feedback. I hope you have the very best rest of the day and stay safe. Bye bye.